So what are examples of the Department of Children and Families DCF screening in cases in Massachusetts? In Massachusetts, DCF screens in all types of cases. And again, there is different and varied and wide as the days of the week, the months of the year, and years that we have. Why is that? Because there's all types of situations. There's all types of children. There's all types of families. And therefore, there's all types of instances. We get 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And things happen. Things happen to families. That includes substance abuse and alcohol, drugs. That can happen when people get heated, upset, mad at each other, domestic violence. That can happen when someone has a difficult or different day and they have mental health challenges. That can happen when someone accidentally overdoses on their medication while watching a child. That can happen when a child is a newborn born with something in its system regarding or relating to alcohol or drugs. And all of a sudden you get neglect. All of a sudden a parent gets mad at a child and hits the child, physical abuse. And unfortunately in our society, it can be where a child's exploited sexually, called sexual abuse. So there's many different types of reasons why a case is screened in, and they vary. And they'll vary from family to family and child to child.